rice which the whole of India consumes, rice the exports of which were banned because to sort of shore up local procurement and to deal with local demand for rice. But looks like we're back with exporting rice, and again, this is not Basmati. We're back to exporting non-Basmati rice, aren't we, Kartik?
That's right, Krishna. In fact, we had curbed, like you mentioned, we had curbed the export of non-Basmati white rice specifically to deal with the inflationary pressures when we had food inflation touching double digits and rice and wheat and pulses inflation going almost as high as 19 to 20%. So that was the time when the government of India decided that, hey, let's just cater to our domestic demands first, and if need be, reduce or curb exports so that we are able to at least feed our population, not at very inflated prices. Now, this ban saw a little bit of easing even last month when countries like Singapore, Bhutan, Mauritius and a few African nations also started receiving some rice from India. And there were certain quantity measures put in place that only up to this amount and no more of Indian non-Basmati white rice will be exported. Now there is one more beneficiary. No guesses there. I think our coziness with Middle East is now reflecting in many areas, and food, rice particularly being one of them. So UAE becomes a beneficiary of India's exports, and India is going to export up to 75,000 tons of non-Basmati white rice to UAE. Now the government has also at the same time reduced the MEP, or the minimum export price of non-Basmati rice. It was set when we had started exporting to countries after easing the curbs. When we had started exporting, there was a curb of $1,200 per ton. That has also now been reduced to $850 per ton. So that's the rate at which India will now be exporting 75,000 tons of non-Basmati white rice to UAE. Another interesting point to note here is that India had also subsequently put a curb on export of Basmati rice because Indian traders are smart. And Indian exporters are, they know how to sort of, get away with and hoodwink the system. So in the garb of Basmati, they were actually exporting non-Basmati rice to circumvent the curbs that were put in place by the government. So the government then had put an MEP of $975 for the export of Basmati rice to further make it less lucrative for exporters to export non-Basmati rice labeled as Basmati rice. So it looks like that export price is going to stay, no reduction on that. But the non-Basmati rice is now reduced to a price of $850 per ton.
So, which basically means India is all set to deliver rice to the rest of the world.
You remember what happened, right? The rest of the world was saying that, hey, India, you stopped exporting white rice and you're adding to our food inflation. And we said, you remember what happened when Russia and Ukraine went to war, right?
Okay, fair enough. So India has resumed delivery to the world of all kinds of rice, technically speaking, in the way it was before the war, before the curbs came in. We're back to exporting and delivering both Basmati and non-Basmati rice to world markets, to people around the world, to control world inflation.
But India is actually opening it only piecemeal.
Yes,
literally just one country at a time, a certain quantity, because we're still dealing with inflation. Not double digits, but food inflation was still almost double digits, 9.9% last month. So we are still dealing with inflation, not very high in numbers, and hence we are looking at one country at a time. I'm sure exporting rice to Canada is nowhere on the anvil right now.
In fact, a good point you make, Kartik. Right now the question is on import of lentils from Canada and how that could be affected. India is supposedly playing safe. A trading body is in fact asked for a ban on import of masoor dal from Canada, from where we procure masoor dal from, a lot of imports from them. That's another story for another day, all the lentils and the Canada connection with lentils. But for now, non-Basmati rice exports to begin to UAE at a certain quantity, at a certain price.